Heather always believed that control was the purest form of self-love, as if planning every step was synonymous with protecting herself. Her life is like a Swiss watch. She wakes up at the same time, drinks the same coffee, walks the same path. Some call it discipline. But deep down, it's fear disguised as organization. She wants peace, but confuses peace with absolute silence. And in this quest for predictability, she forgets that real life has a curious habit of dancing out of step. We learn early on that controlling everything is the safest path. But what is safety, if not an illusion? Heather avoids the unexpected as if it were a disease, when in fact it is what keeps the heart alive. Love, romance, true discovery. None of these things are born in comfort. It's like traveling without a map. The charm lies precisely in what was not planned. If you've ever tried to predict every detail of a relationship, you know how it is. The plan is beautiful, but it's the unexpected that makes the soul breathe. And that's where the paradox lies. Control gives a false sense of peace, but suffocates hope. Heather doesn't know it yet, but this trip will mess up everything she believes about love and security. Because sometimes, it's chaos that teaches us what it really means to live. And soon, something, or someone, will come along to show her that. Heather feels something pulsing inside her, a desire that even she doesn't quite understand. Between her love of order and her fear of the unexpected, there is a small but deep space where the hope for a lighter life resides. Sometimes she laughs for no reason, and then immediately reproaches herself. Other times she looks at the horizon and imagines what it would be like to simply go. No destination, no plan, no need to explain to anyone. Freedom calls her, even if only in whispers. It's curious how the body speaks before the mind understands. Small slips, a forgotten note, a cancelled appointment, a suitcase left open. These are cracks in the wall of control. And through these cracks, the wind of discovery blows in. What Heather doesn't realize is that this impulse is the beginning of love for life itself. The kind of romance that is born between fear and the desire to be more than a well-written script. Perhaps you have felt this too, that restlessness that comes when everything is right, but nothing seems true. It is the heart trying to say that peace is not the absence of movement. It is harmony with what vibrates inside, and that is when destiny begins to act, sometimes disguised as chance, sometimes as a person. Jack is the kind of person who turns mistakes into poetry. While Heather seeks symmetry, he is enchanted by the crooked, the unexpected, the things that stray from the norm. For him, life is a journey without GPS, full of twists and turns, encounters and pauses that seem simple but hide the secrets of an entire universe. He believes that love reveals itself in the details that no one planned, in conversations that arise out of nowhere, in the looks that speak when words fail. Heather, accustomed to predictability, doesn't know what to do with this kind of presence. Jack doesn't try to fix anything. He just observes, laughs, and lets time do the rest. This lightness makes him dangerous, because it breaks what is rigid. It's like throwing a stone into a mirrored lake. Suddenly, everything that seemed static begins to move. And in this reflection, she sees something she never had. Peace without control, hope without fear, love without conditions. It's fascinating how someone can come into our lives and change everything without promising anything. Jack doesn't talk about freedom. He lives it. And for Heather, this is a discovery that is both frightening and irresistible at the same time. Little does she know that this trip will not only be about places, but about mirrors, and that he will be the first to show her who she really is. Each city Heather visits is like a mirror of the soul. In Lisbon, she feels the first breath of freedom. The warm wind mixed with the smell of the sea awakens something that was dormant. Walking through the tiled streets is like leafing through a forgotten diary. The journey is not only geographical, it is emotional, and little by little, a love for life itself begins to blossom amid the crooked sidewalks and laughter of her friends. In Madrid, curiosity sets in. Heather watches people dancing, eating late, hugging each other without haste. Everything there seems to say, relax, live. It's the opposite of what she's learned. Jack smiles as if he understands how she feels, and the relationship between them blossoms. The romance is no longer about the other person, but about what she awakens within herself. And this discovery is the real turning point. But it is in Barcelona that she surrenders. The art on the walls, the sun on her face, the long conversations. It is there that Heather begins to lose her fear of losing control. Florence will bring conflict, and Venice, the secrets that await the truth. With each new destination, peace and hope cease to be ideas. They become sensations. And what seemed like just a trip between countries becomes a deep dive into herself. There are relationships in which silence speaks louder than words, and Heather and Jack's is exactly like that. Every glance contains questions that neither of them has the courage to ask. Love grows between pauses, disguised as tranquility. But behind this apparent peace, there are secrets, memories that each keeps as if protecting an old wound. Sometimes what unites two people most is the fear of revealing themselves completely. Jack carries a past he never reveals, and Heather senses it without understanding. She also hides her own guilt, fears of disappointing, of being judged, of losing control. This invisible barrier between them creates a beautiful and painful tension. It's like a novel written in code, where the true meaning only appears between the lines. And in this dance of secrets, love becomes both healing and wounding. There is something deeply human about this. We all have parts that we prefer to leave in the shadows, but the more we try to hide, the more life creates ways to bring to light what needs to be seen. Heather doesn't know it yet, but this discovery is about to happen, because love, true love, always requires courage, and the next step in this journey will test exactly that. Maya is the kind of friend who lives on impulse. She believes that love and life only make sense when there is risk involved. Sophie, on the other hand, is the opposite. Methodical, rational, faithful to the script. And Heather, caught between them, feels torn. It's like being at a crossroads between the heart and fear. While one speaks of hope and surrender, the other speaks of prudence and peace. Both are right, but only one of them walks in step with her soul. These friends are not just traveling companions, they are mirrors of choices. Maya encourages her to open her heart, to allow herself to live a romance without fear of breaking up. Sophie, on the other hand, reminds her of the consequences, the weight of promises and secrets that may come to light. It's a conflict that everyone knows, the desire to feel versus the fear of losing. And deep down, Heather realizes that the real relationship she needs to balance is with herself. Sometimes life gives us people who represent exactly what we are trying to decide inside. It is as if the universe put Maya and Sophie on her journey to reveal the map of her own soul. Heather still doesn't understand, but this journey is not about choosing a side. It's about learning to dance between the two. And soon, the feeling of guilt will begin to blow like a cold breeze in the midst of her quest for freedom. Guilt is a silent prison. Heather feels it with every step she takes outside the script, as if loving the unexpected were a sin. She fears hurting others, fears losing control, fears even her own joy. It is the kind of feeling that extinguishes hope before it even blossoms. And the curious thing is that the more she tries to protect herself, the further she gets from the peace she so desperately seeks. This guilt stems from the belief that love is synonymous with pleasing others, with following invisible rules. But true love is courage. It is discovery. It is allowing yourself to make mistakes and learn. Heather doesn't realize that her life has become a minefield of what-ifs. And the worst part is that she built this minefield herself, stone by stone, trying to avoid pain. But sometimes the only way to find peace is to go through fear. The world is shouting, "Go." And she still hesitates. Her friends laugh. Jack waits. The wind blows. Everything seems to invite her to live. But guilt holds her hands tight. It's the kind of battle we all face when our hearts want one thing and our minds say another. And it is at this crossroads that love, unexpectedly, begins to transform into something deeper. Heather always thought love was about finding someone. But with Jack, she realizes it's about finding herself. He doesn't hold her back. He doesn't promise eternity. He just teaches her to be present. The romance becomes a mirror, reflecting everything she tried to hide from herself. It's as if every touch, every silence, is a journey into her own soul. And there, in the midst of this beautiful chaos, true hope is born. Being with Jack is like walking barefoot, light but vulnerable. He doesn't offer answers, he offers freedom. And it is this freedom that transforms her. For the first time, Heather feels peace even without control, love even without guarantees. She discovers that a healthy relationship is not one where everything is right, but one where both grow, together, even amid the secrets that still hang in the air. Every day she understands that love is a verb, not a plan. It is surrender. It is courage. It is faith in motion. And when she realizes this, the world around her begins to change color. Warmer, more alive, more real. But every liberation comes at a price, and hers is about to arrive. Because in Venice, when the truths come to light, nothing will ever be the same again. Venice arrives like a broken mirror. Love, once sweet, now reflects what both have tried to hide. The calm waters become metaphors for life itself. Beautiful on the surface, deep and murky inside. Heather feels the weight of secrets, of what has been said and, above all, of what has been left unsaid. It is the phase of truth, and truth rarely comes without pain. Jack also bleeds in silence. The relationship, once full of romance and hope, becomes a bridge between what they were and what they can still be. Heather understands that love is not just about being together, but about having the courage to look each other in the eye, even when the light goes out. The discovery is hard, but liberating. Sometimes peace and suffering go hand in hand on the same path. She realizes that growth does not happen in comfort, but in chaos. Every tear shed is a reminder that to live is to accept the unpredictable. And when the sun finally touches the waters of Venice, Heather understands. The end of one journey can be the beginning of a new one that no longer needs a destination. Because after all, what remains is what she has learned about herself and about the true meaning of love. Heather walks alone through the streets, and for the first time she feels no fear. The love she sought in others now blossoms within her, Hope is no longer a distant idea, but a state of being. The sound of the world seems softer, as if life is finally breathing with her. Control dissolves, and what remains is a rare kind of peace, the kind that comes when we accept ourselves completely. She understands that she has lost nothing, only found herself. Jack was part of the journey, not the destination. Her friends, each in their own way, were compasses pointing in directions that only she could choose to follow. Now, the most important relationship is with her own soul, a silent romance between what she was and what she is becoming. And in this discovery, Heather realizes, true love never imprisons, it liberates. The sun rises over Venice and everything seems simple. And that is precisely what makes the moment so grand. Heather lives in the present, without fear of secrets, without a script, without needing to understand everything. She just lives. And in that living there is an indescribable beauty, the kind of beauty that is born when life ceases to be planned and begins to be felt.